Right now we're live?
Yup.
Wow, what an intro. Well, we are Who Gives a Hoot. This is our first video live podcast, and we are happy to welcome on owner and CEO of Union Omaha, Gary Green. Gary, how are you today?
I'm okay. Got a little
Yeah?
cabin fever.
Yeah.
And little unshaven. But I'm happy to be your first. And I don't know how many people are watching or listening, but hello to everyone out there.
We'll find out later, I guess. That's
Yeah,
all
we'll
I'm.
This is the closest I've gotten to Omaha in a month, so this is good.
We've already have some questions curated early on from Omaha Parliament and Union Army. So let's just get right into it. Omaha Parliament, how are you and your family holding up so far?
Well, we are all safe and sound. We're about 45 minutes north of New York City, in a place called Rockland. So Rockland County also has a lot of cases, but we're staying at home, doing Amazon, doing groceries delivered at the door, really not going anywhere. Total lockdown. Got the dogs, got the backyard, let the dogs out, and got out of the city. So, knock on wood, we've known some people who've gotten it. They're okay, but I do have a lot of friends who know people that have gotten it who have passed away.
Wow.
Yeah, you're definitely in, as I believe they're calling it, the American epicenter of this, and that's a very, very tough situation, especially as soccer, baseball, two things you're very involved in at this stage are typally the pastimes to help people get through tough situations, and we're kind of looking at that as a we're waiting on that. I think there's one soccer league in the world running in Belarus right now, so we're limited on our distractions. So
didn't you see our big win over Hartford Athletic today on ESPN?
Oh, that was fantastic. If Mickelson can kick a ball, I'd consider signing him there.
That was my first ESPN Union Omaha anything event.
I know.
I actually got excited.
I may have been ditching a conference call to tune in on that, but no.
What's that like for you, Gary? I mean, in our last conversation, you talked about how difficult it was just getting everything involved, and there's so many things that go on behind the scenes. What was it like to have your first event, Union Omaha, to actually be on? What was that for you?
To be on ESPN3 today?
Yeah, I mean, wasn't what you expected, but
Matt, I didn't even know it was on. Matt Hominoff called me and said, "Hey, check this out." And I saw we were winning like 5-1, and when you're working on something for 4 years, you'll even take a rocket soccer victory at this point.
Well, Gary, that's not the first foray in this whole bit into the extended realm of esports. You had some great turnouts by the players against other USL supporters through a non-official league over the past weekend. Dalton and Damia both scored some big victories for us in the EUSL FIFA league being run by a guy out of Louisville. So we're undefeated in all competitions so far.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, good.
Cheers.
The win's a win.
The win's a win. That's right.
So for you, I mean, obviously you have a lot of irons in the fire. I mean, you're very plugged in with minor league baseball, and those seasons kind of connect, that soccer season, that major league, that minor league baseball season. I mean, what are you seeing for a start date for both? I mean, I'm a baseball guy, as we talked about in our last conversation, but what are you seeing? What are the conversations for start dates for both?
It's interesting. A lot of conversations with both leagues, and it's interesting because on the baseball side, we really don't have any access to the players and really have nothing to do with the players until they arrive in the market. Whereas on the soccer side, we're responsible for the players. So it's definitely two different types of conversations. But each sport is going to need about a month to get ready once the coast is clear to play. And you got to remember that even if it's okay in Omaha to play, the whole country has to be okay. So if it's okay in Omaha, but not okay in Madison, Madison can't be on the road for the entire season. That doesn't work. So it's a little different. So, on the baseball side, MLB is going to dictate our games. It's going to dictate our season. And MLB may want to play their games in empty stadiums, the major league games, because they get paid on television contracts. As far as what they want us to do with our season, I don't know. As far as the USL's been fantastic in communicating with us, and they know that we want to play games. They know that we have to play games with fans in the stadiums. To play games without fans in the stadiums, we have all the operational expense without any of the operational revenue. And there's no money from the ESPN television contract to kind of cover that. So there's no chance of USL games without fans. It's either with fans or, there wouldn't be a season. So the nice thing about soccer is that you can play soccer later into the year than you can baseball. Mm-hmm. So, we can play soccer into November, and baseball, wow. You're not going to play baseball into November.
I've been to early spring baseball games in Maine, and that's having to get a helicopter on the field because the snow melt, and just never quite the same as going to a cold soccer game.
Yeah. And September and October in Omaha is beautiful. November.
Yeah.
Little dicey.
It'd be hit or miss. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So obviously you've been
a lot like April though.
Yeah, right. So obviously you've been in the minor league baseball system for a long time and for multiple teams. So you have that experience with the commissioners of that league. What's really surprised you and how they've handled it so far?
There's just complete transparency and communication throughout all the levels. If I need to get Justin Papadakis on the phone, I'll send him a text in the morning. I'm on the phone with him with an hour or two. But the thing that's great is that out of this crisis, there's been a bonding of the owners of League One, and I've really gotten to know them very well. And we'll be on conference calls, texting with each other, and commenting, and I feel that there's a strong camaraderie within the owners of League One, and we're all definitely on the same page. We all want to play. The question was thrown out. Would it help you if we shut down the season early, and would that help you out financially? And all of us, every single team said absolutely not. So we're all in, and we want to play, and we want to play a full season, even if it's a condensed full season.
Yeah.
No, and when we talked with Ryan Madden, the vice president of communications for USL, he was very adamant that we're going to see a full season going through. That's obviously what we want to see, even if that means having to show up twice a week. Make it feel a little bit more like a class in college than you would have a pro season. But we're excited to see however that goes.
All right, so I'm counting on you. Those Wednesday games in late October where it's 40 degrees. You got to bring all your friends out.
Anything to help. That's the mentality. What is it? All water rising, lift all boats, or something like that. That's how we got to operate.
Yeah,
everybody together.
Oh, you want to hear? Something cool? So, I through a mutual contact in Omaha. You guys might be a little young, but the band 311 out of Omaha.
Yeah.
So I spoke to the lead singer the other day. He's a huge soccer fan. We're sending him some gear, and they wrote a song that they wrote to be an entrance song for a soccer team.
Huh.
And he's like, it's never been played in a soccer game. He said the Washington Capitals have used it like for a skate around, and it's the name of the song is like "Let's Roll," I think, and it's pretty good. I don't know. We got to see, but it was they're the most popular bands out of Omaha, right? 311.
I would think so.
Yeah, they're definitely up there.
Yeah. Other than
he was
Luke,
telling
who does our theme song.
Yeah, no. The theme song is out of my hands. I'll let Matt and you guys figure that out. But it's a cool song. He said they were going to do their 30th anniversary show in Omaha in June. So obviously that's not happening now. But super nice guy, and I think he'll come out to a game. He's a big Sounders fan, Seattle Sounders fan.
Oh, geez. Okay, well, that's cool. Gary, we have a listener that just asked a question. Jonathan Ryan asked, is there a minimum number of games the league is willing to schedule to constitute a full schedule? Great question.
That is a great question. And the answer is, I don't know. We're still pushing to get our 14 games in the regular season and, going to try like hell to get our 2 exhibitions. So I don't think anybody's talking about a shortened season. They're talking about a condensed season, and they're asking us how it would be for, 2 games in a week. And we said we're not in this business not to play games. We're in this business to play games. So let's do it. And the interesting part with more games in September and October, we'll have less field turnovers from baseball to soccer to baseball. So that's a good thing.
So ultimately, as horrible as it sounds, a later season may actually end up saving the club some money.
Yeah, in that regard, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not so good for ticket sales right now.
No, not the best for ticket sales for that November game, but
No, but we were about to announce single game tickets. We were, in that St. Patrick's Day event, we were going to do single game tickets. We were 3 days away, and then, everything.
The world changed.
Yeah, no, we got world changed. We have our season tickets stopped because who's going to buy a season ticket now, not knowing if there's going to be a season. So, but we were killing the rest of the league on season tickets. I mean, not even close.
Well, as you know, 2 of the 3 of us here are season ticket holders, so we're definitely looking forward to putting those to good use this year.
Why isn't it 3 out of 3?
Oh,
I don't know who the third person is, but whoever that third person is needs to get their ticket right now. It's totally not because they were lazy and forgot. All right.
No, Gary, I just saw today that the league had announced a further moratorium on practices through April 19th, which is going to put more of a strain on Jay and the players, knowing that that's at least a few more weeks that before we can actually get them out there and get them back in that groove that they were, full stride, beating MLS sides, beating USLC sides. We were doing fantastically. Talking with the players as we've been interviewing them for future releases, we've heard a lot of how that chemistry was really, it's not that it was necessarily put on hold, but it just builds so much better when you're out there with those guys. But seeing as we have such a late season or stacked season for home games, do you think that we're going to see a better turnout as people are coming out from this unfortunate quarantine, really feeding off of the need for social events, seeing that, hey, there's already 2,000 people who are going to show up to these games because they bought their season tickets. They're not going to waste those season tickets now. But then we get, everybody else in Omaha is like, I need something. I've been stuck inside for 2 months, and I need to get out there.
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and you gotta balance what you just said: cabin fever and people just dying to get outside and be together. And the other side of it is, how much fear do people have being in a group setting? And a month ago, nobody had a fear of being in a group setting, right?
No.
And so, look, I mean, I think I look at 9/11, and I was in New York for 9/11, and I was at a baseball game 10 days later at Shea Stadium, and I was thought to myself, wait, we have to go through metal detectors at a sports event? There are bomb sniffing dogs at a sports event. They're putting mirrors on their cars to look if they have a bomb, and they're checking trunks. Like, it was just bizarre. Like, I can't get used to this, but here we are. I'm saying it to you, and it's like it's normal now. So it's the new normal. So I expect that this, but whatever it is that becomes the new normal, that this will be equivalent to 9/11. That there'll be a new normal. What is that new normal? I don't know what it is, but there's going to be a pent up demand for people to get together for games, just to see each other, for community, and I think there's going to be a huge pent up demand, because the pent up demand spill over into this season. If we have games, well, it depends on, does the fear subside? So, I would expect somebody who, if somebody's recently on chemotherapy, or an organ donor, or immune has a low immune system, those people will have more fear than maybe people like your age who have you're younger, and the mortality rate from this is minuscule. It's not to say it's zero, but it's minuscule. So I think it's the new normal, and I think that once we move past this, I think people will be more careful. But I think there's a lot of pent up demand for sports and events nationally that will spill over at some point. The question is when.
How do you guys plan on capitalizing on that? Because I'm going to talk about just my own experience in the fact that I'm willing to watch anything on television. The other day I was watching Madden, two people playing Madden. So there's obviously this demand for live sports. How are you planning on capitalizing that? Like, are you planning on playing in front of like a condensed number of fans, or what's your plan here?
I mean, well, we're capitalizing on it now. A lot of teams have cut their social media departments. We're strong on social media, and I think our fans need to connect with us more than ever, because we're not there. It's just everybody sitting inside. I think the first week this all happened, everybody was kind of scrambling to get inside and figure out their plans. And on Baseball America, the digital platform that we own, we saw a drop in traffic. Well, traffic has spiked the past 2 weeks because now everybody's settled in at home, and the amount of content on Instagram, on and just across the board on everything, people they're soaking up so much content, which is why I wanted to come on with you guys, and I feel like doing something with video is just it's better. But we've made it our fans are our family, and we think it's just important more important than during a season to stay connected, because we feel like that everybody needs a distraction from the news on TV. They need the distraction towards what's positive in their life, and soccer is positive. We like to think we're positive. So I've gone, I've hired a PR firm over the next 2 months because there's no sports news. So I want to get as many interviews and get in front of many people as possible, and have the same conversation about how fans are going to have cabin fever and get people excited. So, it's definitely, look, this sucks, but it's definitely an opportunity to get in front of people and stay connected. And I think if you make the effort to stay connected in times like this, I think it means more than in normal times.
No, and that's definitely something here we've been feeling as we were building up to that hype, getting to that first game in Fort Lauderdale, getting to that first game at Werner Park at the end of this month, that was something we were all extremely looking forward to. But knowing that this is all put on hold, we want to make sure that this is something we've wanted for a long while, one form or another. Make sure that there's that fan engagement, make sure everybody is engaging with the team as much as possible, and we're trying to provide as much to the fan base as we can, because as rabid fans ourselves, we want to find every little bit of information we can, and share that, disseminate that to the overall group.
Yeah, and I love when our guys, take over our social media or go on their own and interact with the fans, whether it's Instagram Live or whatever they're doing. It's fun, watch them train. If I can get Jay to figure out Instagram Live, maybe we'll do a split screen.
that might be asking too much.
No, I think you could do it. I think you could do it. And Jay and I spoke a lot. We had a conversation, I guess it was a week ago. I said, I love that guy. So I swear I was talking to him about the season, I swear I almost started to cry. It's just, it's just been such a long time for me just starting this. It's like, it's almost 4 years. It's, it's like, it's nice to get a Rocket soccer victory, but I don't know. It's not enough.
Yeah, no. It's a nice 20 minutes of your afternoon, but it's not that 2 hours every week.
But my partner, he missed it. He was pissed. Like he was like, "Fuck, I missed that." that's how little we have going on,
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge to find stuff. Today put on in the background. Actually, a good documentary, soccer out of Kearney, New Jersey. It's Soccer Town, USA, which has a brief cameo by our very own Ethan Vanacore-Decker in there at the beginning. Great little documentary, but just looking for any form of content and trying to find anything that has our guys in it, watching old games, watching,
Sure, yeah.
whatever.
But you guys, of course, have seen Sunderland Till I Die, correct?
Yeah.
That's the best. I love that. I think that might have been one of the reasons why we closed this deal. Is I saw that and I got all pumped up. I was like, yeah, we're doing this. This is great.
Hold on, I want to get into. Could you imagine, man? When I grow up, I want to be just like you, Gary. I want to watch a documentary and just that's what I want to do.
Omaha till I die,
right? We have a listener that just asked a question. Our good friend Chip Nelson, who is in Omaha Parliament, a rabid fan and one of your best fans, he asked, when is the jersey coming out? Do you know when the jerseys are supposed to come out?
We are working on something.
Okay.
Obviously, a global pandemic is not the best time to
really? Is that not the best time to
get a new sponsor? But let me just do this. Let me put some Purell, all right? And we're working on something. Let me just say we're working on something unusual. So it's not done yet, but we're working on something. So the answer is I don't have a date. It's a great question. And believe me, we want to sell jerseys, like kits. We want to sell them. So it's not that we're doing something shifty here. We had some great conversations. I started the week in Omaha, the first week in March, talking about it with the kit sponsor. And by the flight home, the season had been canceled. So it was a lot to wrap our head around. So we were having good conversations, but we have something unusual and unique we're working on. So it's not done yet, but more to come.
Are you happy about it?
Am I happy about?
Are you happy about how the jerseys have come out so far? I mean, obviously you probably have.
I mean, our brand. Yeah.
I'm
proud of that. Yeah. No, I'm thrilled with the brand, and I'm thrilled with a lot of. It's very hard. It's very hard to get right. It's. A lot of people say it's so fun. You get to name your own team. You get to have your brand. I mean, you have, thousands of people ready to judge you, and and the fact that the worst thing we heard is looks like a volleyball. That's I feel like we nailed it.
Oh God, I've heard that too many times. Going to work, put my scarf on my desk every day.
Do you guys think we should have done a regular soccer ball or done the
hell no.
soccer ball?
No, I enjoy the heckles. It gives me some reason to start the conversation about the team.
I think like a new soccer ball, it looks kind of, kind of cheesy,
Yeah.
No.
For a soccer fan like myself and probably and Luke, I mean, I didn't even notice it until somebody came up to me and was like, "Hey, that's a volleyball." I'm like, talking about it.
But Nebraska ball is a big volleyball state. But we made the decision knowing that, and nothing caught us by surprise. And originally we had hired a company that does baseball stuff, and they came up. They're the best in baseball. They came up with the worst soccer stuff, so we had to kind of fire them, even though they're the best at baseball. And we hired Matt Wolf, who was in the Athletic article, and he came in, and we were thinking Meadowlark, State Bird, Meadowlark, and he came in, Great Horned Owl. Forget the Meadowlark; it's not tough enough, and he nailed it with the Great Horned Owl.
Yeah, no. Listening to the Rocket League commentary earlier today, I'm not going to spill it. And don't want my office to smell too bad. But listening to the and I'm terrible with the commentators' names, but one who's from Omaha, and he's like, Great Horned Owl? Yeah, no. And he started making owl noises halfway through the first game. And it's just, definitely something easy to get behind. And there's been some talk amongst the supporters of, because it's so quiet around town, there are not as many cars out there, not as many people, going out and hearing owls in the morning, hearing owls around town. It's like, oh, look, they actually are there.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's what's happening. I've never seen a deer in my backyard before. I've seen 4 of them in like 2 weeks because there's nobody's out.
Yep.
Yeah. Crazy.
Next time there's like a quarantine, we're just gonna play What Did Gary Find Outside? Let's just do that.
Well, there was some soccer club in Wales that was tweeting out the other day that there were mountain goats in the downtown or something. It's awesome. It's like you're finding weird stuff.
That's awesome.
So, Gary, through all of this, what's really surprised you about the fan support for Union Omaha?
I don't know. Through this, I don't think anything surprises me. With the fans, because we've had such great support, and it's surpassed anything that I've thought over the past. How long has it been? Almost a year since we announced in May. It's 11 months, so I'm not surprised about anything with you guys and the Parliament and the fans. It's been now I expect it. Now I expect it, and and it's been awesome. It's been a slow build, and and just especially having the guys over Builder Trend in our corner, and Dan Houghton, and just Millennial Omaha, and the soccer family. Nothing surprises me anymore about it, and I just I hope we get some games in this season, and it would just be such a shame with the team that Jace clearly put together a special team that he built on chemistry, and he built it on the right attitude. And Jay was always about culture, and I think we all see that even though it's early, there was something special there. And between the special team and the special inaugural season and the fan support, there was we have a lot going for us. So I'm not surprised by any of the support we get right now, because it's been there the whole time. It's been consistent. And we sat down with our staff and we said, we need to be there for our fans, flooding social media with our players as much as we can so that we stay connected. And so I'm not surprised at all.
Now, Gary, jumping to a question just asked. This is very, very soccer relevant. What beer are you drinking right now?
This is a beer. Where's the camera here? Let's see. It's called Raging
Bitch.
It's got an angry dog. Let's see. It's got a picture. That is a raging bitch right there.
Too good.
Yeah. It's a Belgian IPA.
Well, I mean,
3% alcohol.
I need to get a refill. I mean, is that allowed? Can I get off camera and get a refill on my drink?
Yeah.
Is that?
You're allowed to switch from Coca-Cola.
We'll cover for you.
No, Gary. One of the questions that has kind of been asked, not so far here, but with the indeterminate length of the season being held up, how is this going to affect player contracts? I'm not sure if that's something you're able to talk to, but I know, for instance, we acquired Tobias Otieno, who has not yet been able to make it in because of this whole issue, because he was off contract or in the Kenyan Premier League, his club is going through financial troubles. Clearly, we're not at that point yet, but we're at a point where we have players who aren't playing games, and we want to hold them as long as we can.
Yeah. So I mean, look, all of our players are in market. I think if a player were to ever leave the market, it makes their return risky, because who knows if they're going to a place where they need to be quarantined or not. And then they come back, and let's say they're with a roommate, then you got a room. If you're with a roommate, then he's got to quarantine too. So, our player contracts run through October 30th, and they're guaranteed contracts. And I don't think that anybody's talking about breaking contracts. And so, look, there are guys, and we, I think how you handle yourself as an owner and as a team sets the bar for future years. And I love the fact that we put our players in some of the best accommodations, if not the best, probably in League One. I love that. They have Jay and his coaching staff, which is, to me, they make it a family. So, I don't think anybody's talking about breaking contracts. I mean, we still haven't filled out our roster. So, technically we're probably below what, another team would have, because we don't have as many players as we were going to start the season with.
For sure. We're still playing FIFA with Mystery, who hasn't yet not quite been announced. But to tack onto that, this is something I've been wondering. What would it look like if that season did get extended? I know the USLPA still hasn't announced whether that collective bargaining agreement's been. I'm sure the league and yourself have been in contact with them. How that would look if we ran longer than those player contracts are good for.
I mean, if we ran longer, it would probably be playoffs in November. So it wouldn't be every team, and it wouldn't be a long time. So I'm sure with all the shit that's happening in the world, that's an easy one. Yeah.
I mean, the reason why I'm asking is I know we're making the playoffs. That part's never been in doubt for me. So.
Well, how about this? How about we just, let's say some teams decide they don't want to wait. How about we throw League One and Championship together?
I'm good for it. I
don't see why Championship wouldn't want to be a part of that. What the heck? Just do it.
If they can't win at Rocket League, can they win on the field?
We'll go down to Swope and we'll kick their asses. Oh, they're not Swope anymore, right?
No. They got rid of the uniqueness. They're SKC2.
SKC2. Yeah, that's right. But ultimately, those MLS2 teams are gonna come to League One in a year or two anyway, right? That's what I've
right.
I believe that was Jake Edwards' plan.
It's the trickle down theory. That just not economics, but for soccer, the trickle down theory.
Trickle down. Trickle up, yeah.
Right, trickle up. Yeah, we're gonna trickle up all the way to the MLS. That's exactly how it's gonna work.
Absolutely.
So I mean, we kind of talk about the new normal. I mean, what are you expecting that stadiums are gonna have to do? I mean, you have to, you're in those conversations with all these other owners. What are you expecting to implement inside the stadium? Are we talking more hand sanitizers? Are we talking about bigger seats? I mean, what are those kinds of conversations looking like?
I can tell you, we're not ripping out the seats at Warner Park. No way. Don't even put that out there.
Okay, I redact.
No. Definitely more hand sanitizers, more wipes, a different cleaning protocol. I mean, I don't think we're going to make people sit, with seats in between them.
Right.
So, I don't know. I feel like Warner Park, we're really not on top of each other there. It's a pretty wide open setting.
Yeah.
But I think that once this kind of moves on, there's always a chance to get a virus. There's always a chance to get a flu. This one just happens to be very deadly. So, once this moves on, well, the next pandemic that happens, the everybody in the world will be 100x better at knowing what to do and handling it. So,
right.
My guess is I'm optimistic, this will be the worst that it ever happens, because we're all going to be so much better at it.
Yeah,
at handling
I
it.
agree 100%. I mean, and especially if they have the second wave that they're talking about, I think we'll be able to handle it a lot better.
Yeah. But talk about handling it. So a buddy of mine lives in Queens. He was on Jamaica Avenue last week in coincidentally in Corona and Elmhurst, and bars and restaurants open and packed. Not supposed to be packed. Guess where there's cases coming out of now?
Yeah. No, I know that's definitely been.
Sorry, that was my father calling.
Oh, no worries.
That was my father calling me. I had to decline that. Sorry.
No.
But yeah, so some people, look at these kids on spring break. Kids your age. No.
Oh, they're a little younger. Just a little younger.
I've been on spring break, and God knows.
I'm just kidding. But yeah, I mean,
not that age.
When you're young, you feel indestructible. So
yeah. No, that's definitely hit me a little bit close to home. I landed back in the U.S. about 2 days before the president locked down.
Luke almost got stuck in Africa, Gary.
Yeah,
what?
I almost got stuck in Europe.
Where were you?
I was vacationing in Tanzania.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Right? Did you go to Australia as well?
No, not Tasmania, Tanzania.
Oh, Tanzania, right?
Yeah.
Probably everybody made that mistake.
Yeah, no, lots. I got asked about how the Devils were and everything.
Yeah.
But flying back through Europe, everything. How other countries were trying to cope with this was definitely interesting, because the course of the 2 weeks I was gone, everything changed, and it was very, very interesting to me when I landed back in the States how lax the U.S. was at it, and I've actually been put as a probable asymptomatic case and have not left my house basically for 3 weeks, which has been so much fun. But that coming through and bringing that in, I believe it was Tacoma had their first player who in the USL who tested positive. Philadelphia Union just had their first player. In MLS test positive a couple of days. Even with the steps being taken, that emphasis on that social distancing, that self-quarantine, make sure you're being responsible, because it's not just you, it's everyone around you. And those players testing positive, that could be an entire team going down. So as you're saying with New York, you just have to be responsible where we are here in Omaha, make sure we're not spreading it to the next person, the next person, and the next person. That way we can get our soccer back sooner.
Right. No, exactly. But, part of the problem was the distancing actually wasn't done. We didn't know. So you had kids coming home from college to their parents and they're older. And, so really the distancing should have been between the higher risk people and the lower risk people.
For sure.
Right. Yeah.
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 Our producer Pat actually asked a great question for you, Gary. You know, you're a baseball guy. You didn't really know much about soccer before owning the team, but he wants to know, what soccer skills have you learned from the players so far, if you've learned any?
What soccer skills?
Do you have any soccer skills? Like, can you juggle a ball? Because I can't. I can't juggle a ball.
I have not learned any soccer skills because I haven't really been to a game, been on the field. I mean, I used to play a little goalie at summer camp. That was my position. Pretty good. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry.
That's a skill. That's a skill.
Yeah,
if you
skill.
that's a skill.
Now, I was hockey goalie, so I was like, what the hell? I'll be soccer goalie. So I have not. I've played a little FIFA, and you know, I'm not very good at that either. But nope, don't have any soccer skills yet. That's I got to work on that. So you're just giving me something to work on whenever I get back to Omaha. And hey, Jay will be happy. Jay will be happy to train me, I'm sure.
I'm sure. And if you want, you know what? I'll self-sacrifice. I'll train you on how to play FIFA. I'll teach you how to play FIFA. I'm known as the best in Omaha. I'll teach you some skills.
Every time I kick the ball, it's like it just goes flying past the net. Like I don't know how to do that little kick. It's just boom, right out of bounds.
Now, Gary, you've mentioned you liked how the team's been doing those like question times. They did one with Elma before things really started to get to maintaining social distance, and most recently with Kobe, and then Tyler did a Instagram takeover. What? Following the players' Instagram accounts, their social media presence, what has been the thing that's been impressing you most about these guys?
I mean, you know, we had our first event with the players and corporate sponsors and potential corporate sponsors, and they were there and they were new, and I don't think they realized what Omaha was about. And I know you're soccer guys, but I don't know if you know who Kyle Peterson is. Kyle played college baseball, played in the College World Series for Stanford, I believe. He's on ESPN. He's part of the investor group. And he got up and everybody gave a little speech. And, you know, I said, hey, Kyle, can you say something? And he got up and he said, looked at the players and he said, you have no idea how much this community can support you because you just got here. But trust me, I know it. I played here. It's a big deal, and you won't play in front of better people ever. And I saw them, and they got it. You know, they got it, and it was. I didn't expect to have any like powerful moments that night, but it was a really cool moment that that Kyle really nailed it. And you know, we know from the baseball side, like the fans here, you know, some of our minor league guys who just never cracked the big leagues and just stayed with us for a lot of years. They were the favorites of the fans. It wasn't necessarily like, you know, Eric Hosmer. It was a guy named Irving Falou, who you probably never heard of, who barely played in the majors, but he was with us for years. They loved him. And Bubba Starling, who's now with the Royals. I mean, he's a fan favorite. Like they love it. They love it when the guys who like worked hard and they're really blue collar, and when they make it. And like, you know, my speech that night was, hey, you know, our goal here is that when you do whatever you're doing in life, and whether you go to graduate school or you play in MLS or you play in Europe, that you look back at Omaha and you say, you know why this happened? Partially, it's because I got the support of a great fan base. And that's our goal. You know, look, we're not, you know, that we want to win championships, but we also want to support young players and give them some of the best years of their lives and support them into doing big things and great things. So that's that. So I don't know how I went on a tangent there. I don't know how even what the question was.
It was a great answer. I almost was in tears. But I mean, you're not a Nebraska guy. But obviously, you own two teams now here in Omaha. How did you get sold? There's Mr. Buffett right there. Omaha. I'm actually taking advice from him because I'm bored and now I'm getting interested in stocks and I'm listening to Buffett. I'm reading up. So thank you for mentioning that. How did you get started in Omaha? Like, what drew you to this city?
So we bought a team in Richmond, Virginia, a baseball team in Richmond, and it was fun, and the team did well, and we renamed the team the Richmond Flying Squirrels. And one day I was talking to my partner, I was like, let's do another one. So we had somebody who worked for us who would go to find deals. And he look, there's a team that's for sale in Omaha. And if you're a little interested, you'd get to meet with Warren Buffett. So
Yeah,
I said, people pay $3 million for that meeting. I'm going to get in a plane. And that's like $3 million in the bank, just like that. So I was interested. So we went.
Did you buy Berkshire Hathaway stock right after that?
I did not buy any stock. No. But he's like, I've told this story so many times, and I've interviewed on it. And if I've told you, just cut me off. But anyway, I went to talk about numbers and what we we're going to do and try to negotiate the deal. And he didn't care about that. He just, for 90 minutes, we talked about baseball. And, the same way you guys would want somebody owning a team because they love the sport and they love the fans. He just needed to make sure that I loved the sport, that it wasn't just a business deal. And we talked about my dad taking me to my first game, his dad taking him to his first game. He loves the Cardinals. I love the Mets. Walked around his office. He showed me his memorabilia. And after 90 minutes, I didn't feel like I had a business meeting. I felt like I had met a really cool friend, older guy. And I ended up having about a dozen meetings with him, and more socially than on the deal. And I asked him if he can introduce me at the press conference. This is a guy who he doesn't do a lot he has to keep his appearances very limited because everybody asks him to do stuff. And I said, look, if we close this deal, would you mind introducing me? And he introduced me that day like he had known me his whole life. And
wow.
And it was my favorite business moment I ever had. And it was my holy shit moment in business. And June 2012, and who he is and what he's about, and that kind of honest and humble, hardworking, and people in Omaha are straight up. Like, even when you get no's from people, they're like really freaking nice no's. Like, I'll get a no, like we got a no from this Fortune 500 company, major CEO, who doesn't make time for anybody. We walked in there, he's like, you know what? I love what you're doing. It's not in what we do right now, but it was a beautiful letter, and people in Omaha, hardworking, smart, and look, I've said this, I love doing business there more now than I do in New York. It's more fun. People are nicer. And, you got guys like Kyle and Dan Houghton, who's a partner, one of our partners, and Mike Castling. And, these are extremely successful guys extremely successful. And like in New York, a lot of successful people, they think, I'm successful, so now I'm going to be a jerk. Like in Omaha, that is not the case. And that's what I love about it.
No, that's definitely something. No, I'm not originally from here. The people have been just. It's a lot closer to where I grew up in Maine, where you wander down the street and it could be your average working Joe, and it could be the owner of a major corporation, and honestly, they both shop at LL Bean. They're wearing pretty much the same flannel. It's good to go. That same sort of feeling comes out here. Is you're going to the same restaurants with these guys who are making these great business decisions, building Omaha up as a center of commerce, and you'll be going to that game that they're cheering for the same players you are. Definitely the right environment to bring everything together. And glad that you were able to get such a fantastic ownership group together to bring Union Omaha to life, and eventually will come to life.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Rocket soccer champions in the meantime.
That trophy. You lift that trophy right over your head.
We'll make that exactly.
On that, how have your goals for the team on the front office, like the financial side, how much has that changed? Like, you obviously had this set number for season tickets sold. How does that fluctuate in your eyes?
That is a great question, because that's literally all I've been working on for 3 weeks. And I'm so glad you asked that, because it's been a hard 3 weeks. Like a lot of companies in the U.S., we've had to, we had to lay off some people on the soccer team and also on the baseball side. And I think that Matt Hominoff did such an amazing job putting together get this centered. Sorry, there we good. Okay, putting together this team. I mean, of people, and picking and choosing who you want to stay is it's like choosing your favorite child. It's impossible. Everybody was great. I mean, everybody was great, and it was very, very difficult. So I've spent the past 3 weeks working on the SBA loans, the small business loans, the disaster loans, studying those. And we have our applications in for the disaster loans, and we have our applications in for the other loans. And, the government it looks like they're doing the right thing to get business up and running. And, even if the government didn't have loans, we would have figured it out. But look, simple economics, business 101. You buy a team, you have all the startup costs of the team. You do have some revenue on the season tickets, but zero other revenue. It's hard to make ends meet. Yeah. So when the government programs came out, I was really happy to hear that. And we're working with Centris Bank, who's I'll give them a plug. Everybody should go to Centris. But they're amazing. And our applications are in, and we're going to be okay. And we have investors, and we have deep-pocketed investors. But business 101, you don't want to go to your investors after they've invested in the team and said, "Hey, can you put in more money?" and you haven't played a single game. Not good. Not good business. Yeah. So we've had to temporarily cut some people. That was very painful, and a couple of them I did lose a lot of sleep over, and we made some tough decisions, like anybody has. So It's not just us; it's every business in the country.
No, that's for sure. Definitely a difficult decision. Especially this early in, because everybody who's been on board has been building that club, building the club along the way. And saying from a fan perspective, I do hope that business turns around and the economy turns around in such a way that you can bring some of those people back on board. It's never an easy thing to let someone go, but definitely. So
I think there was one person in particular. I mean, I'm not bringing up any names, but it's just like everybody deserved to be there. Matt had created such a great working environment. We were moving into new offices, and it's like to me, it's like choosing your favorite child. It's impossible, and I'm anxious to put that group back together sooner than later. If you told me we were definitely having games in in June, everybody would be back right now.
Yeah. No. As the club is further on hiatus, hopefully per CDC's most recent announcement, we're looking at supposedly.
I didn't do a Joe Biden. I didn't go like this.
No, but hopefully we're looking at a peak in the next 2 weeks, and hopefully that doesn't get worse for you, Gary. No, we're and that should bring us down to acceptable levels by end of May, beginning of June. If everybody does what they're supposed to, stays at home, etc. I believe U.S. Soccer's throwing out the hashtag bend the curve. Clearly throwing it to the bend the ball, knock it down. No, get it low. We're looking at that. How are you encouraging the team specifically Union Omaha, but you obviously own other teams, to utilize the new social media space, the existing social media space, to really dominate the presence out there, increase viewership, bring more people into the fold, because as it boils down to, is your social media is your whole outreach right now. You can't go to a bar and talk to somebody about it. You can't throw an event. It's all through the interweb.
No, absolutely. And you just want to lift people's spirits, and you want to put as much out there without putting too much out there. So we have Yanira, who's doing a great job for us, and she's literally doing the job of, I feel like, 3 people right now. And she's, I just did a public service announcement for her right before this, and she wrote out a whole script for me. And she's doing a tremendous job, and we're asking a lot. So, just stay front and center. And, I haven't had time to do as much as I'd like, because so my business, unfortunately, business has taken me away from doing as much social as I want. But I feel like now that the SBA stuff is kind of almost done, the next month I'll be able to engage more and do some more Instagram Live, now that I've been taught that, and other things like that. So, yeah. So, we learn a lot from Baseball America. Baseball America is that digital platform that covers minor leagues and college and major leagues. Yeah. I got you a free subscription, right?
You did not, but I will talk to you after this to get that free subscription.
All right. So now you don't have soccer season tickets and you want a free subscription.
Hey, I'm living in my parents' basement right now. Okay, I'm not making money.
Fair enough. So, like I said, we saw traffic go down. Now it's spiking. We put a cover on Baseball America that just had a baseball in a field with no players. And we got so much coverage on it, because when you're putting a publication out, it's different. Your readers, you have to meet them at their emotional spot where they are. So that's different than when you're on social and you're trying to bring everybody up. And so we got a lot of press on that, and it was really successful. And now we got to figure out what we write about with another month of no baseball. So we'll see.
Yeah. This is the question. There's two questions from our viewers, and then we'll wrap it up. Chip asks, where is your favorite place to grab a bite or eat in Omaha?
So my favorite steakhouse is 801.
Well, that's a great place.
It's
a perfect dinner spot.
Fried lobster corn dogs, and then the filet. And I love mahogany. Mahogany, if you're out west, mahogany is awesome. Not a fan of the Drover. Don't like the whiskey steak.
Yeah, Drover's one of those classic ones that kind of stick with everybody who's been here forever. But the food science has come away.
I was there after the fire. Like it looks like what it looked like before the fire. Like, that was and I love, what's the sushi place downtown? Sake Bombs. Yeah, Sake Bombs. And and I don't know. I go. Who's got? And there's a great place that Derek Leathers is the president of Warner Trucking. Yep. And Warner Enterprises, and his brother opened up a place called Porky Butts or Pork Butts.
Yeah, no, I used to work for Warner, and they'd pull that truck out there once a year. That's some good barbecue.
Have you been to the restaurant?
I have not been to the restaurant.
It's in a strip mall, and so it's incredible. Like Oklahoma Joe's quality or better. Like, it's insane. You got to go.
Yeah, no, he's always put out a quality product there. That's definitely something I'll have to check out there. One last question is coming. It kind of puts off or ties into our previous question. Any concerns with potentially competing against NFL and college football than was originally planned? As their schedule now will now likely overlap more. Obviously, with the Huskers being just down the road, Chiefs even, and NFL in general, that's going to be a challenge.
I don't know how many of our games will be on Sundays as far as the Chiefs, and obviously the Chiefs are very popular now. As far as the Huskers, I don't know. You guys tell me. I feel like the soccer fans are going to choose soccer over football. I feel like maybe some of the casual fans will choose to watch maybe the football game and attend the soccer game. So, I think people with the Huskers. Look, I'm not a Husker expert, but I feel like they need to play better this year for them to for it to be. It's competition, but I feel like soccer fans are soccer fans, and they're not necessarily Husker fans. And a lot of the people that I know that are Husker fans don't necessarily travel to the games, and they watch them on TV. So, we could turn a game into a Husker watch party and have big screens and, Husker watch parties, especially the away games, they're all over the place. So why not set up a big screen on the concourse and let the Husker game be on at a different time that our game is on, or, just combine it. So, competition's only competition until you can, make some synergy out of it. So the Chiefs, I wouldn't want to go head to head against the Chiefs right now. They're awesome. Right? I wouldn't want to, but on the Huskers, I feel like we can incorporate the Huskers, but I do feel like they need to get a good start to the season. And from what I understand, they haven't
done that. And the Huskers haven't done that in since the 90s.
No, but their schedule's so hard next year, and I don't want to be like
Gary. You're being nice. You're being nice.
But if it doesn't happen under Scott Frost, it's never going to happen, right? I mean, he's the guy, right?
Long enough, all right. As the resident Husker fan, I've been quiet. I've been sitting here biting my tongue. Let me speak on them real quick. They're going to be 7-0. They've got an easy first half of the schedule. Then it gets a little tougher, and they're going to win 8 games next year or 9. You watch. But back to you, Omaha, and to finish this out, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you the question, Gary. Do you have a prediction on when the season will start? I know that's kind of a tough question to answer because of everything that's going on. We're in the middle of it still. Do you have any predictions?
I'm not a medical expert. I've listened to all the webinars like you have and all the stuff.
Yeah, every single daily briefing, I'm assuming, too.
Yeah, exactly. There's this phone call that has 5 owners. I'm on a task force for League One, and we're setting a lot of policy. So if you told me June 1, I'd feel like I hit the lottery. We all hit the lottery. If you told me July 1, I'd feel like I hit the second or third prize of the lottery. So I would take July 1. Look, June 1, July 1, August 1. I guess if I were to predict, I'd say August 1. But I do think, and this is not fact, I do think that the league, if it came down to it, the league would start a season September 1, October, and then play a playoffs. And I think the league's committed to playing. So I don't think they'd start October 1. But if you said 2 months worth of games, the league will do it. They support us. And so, I think July 1 would be fantastic. So I don't know. Knock on wood. Let's hope.
If you can make a game happen July 3rd for my birthday, I will be the happiest man alive.
Well, I can't make it happen here because there's a Storm Chaser game that day.
Oh, come on.
Come on. But if there's no baseball, there will be a soccer game. If there's no baseball and there's soccer, yeah.
Jeez, Gary, I see.
Well, Gary, thank you so much. Thank you so much for spending your night with us and hanging out with us and talking to you Omaha fans and us.
You guys, I get as much or more out of this than you guys do. It's great to connect with you and everybody there. I love it.
Awesome. Stay safe, and we'll see you soon. We owe you a beer. I think we owe you a beer or two. So
A raging bitch. I don't want your Miller Lite. Raging bitch.
Ultimate, I haven't bought season tickets move right here.
Yeah. Living in the basement.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate
Thanks, Gary.
it. All right.
Thanks, Gary.